Hey everyone, it's Random Noob, and today's video is my damage decks for Season 3. I have been playing the patch a lot so far, and I've been liking it actually quite a bit. It's been pretty fun. It's definitely interesting. A lot of stuff's changing. A lot of stuff's just weird. There's just some weird stuff. I'm going to break these videos up into two with the damage video and the flank video because otherwise it's going to get really long. I do plan on releasing both of them today though. So, hope you enjoy. Let's hop into it. We're going to start off with Tiberius. For me, Tiberius has a basic deck. I don't know, you guys might have caught my Tiberius video, but this is the Tiberius deck that I really enjoy, that I think is just great. It just fits really well with this kit. So basically, the whole essence of this deck right here is your Combat Trance. Combat Trance is by far Tiberius' best ability, and I really think his deck should center around it. Originally, a lot of people were making decks with honed senses. I actually don't think his ult's very good anymore. They did nerf it. They did rebuff it, but I don't think it's enough. I still think his ultimate's pretty weak. So that's why we're kind of, leaning towards Combat Trance. So basically what it is Breaking Rate's 3, which heals you during your Bladed Chakrams. Charisma 2 is just a health card, as in 2 of. Test of Strength heals you during your Combat Trance. So during Combat Trance, you're healing for every damage all the chakrams you hit, as well as 200 health per second, which makes you incredibly tanky. And then just a one-of ammo card. It just seems like a nice filler. If you don't like the one-of ammo card, you could put in a health shield after activating Combat Trance Primal Haste, or possibly something like, a lot of his other cards seem very bad, but Imbued with Purpose, not bad. It reducing the cooldown of Heavy Blade. It works really well with an Instrument of Fate. And for the talent for this, I use Predatory Instincts, because it allows you to get double value out of Instrument of Fate. So you can hit people with the initial throw of your Heavy Blade and then return it, and you get you get like, if you hit 2 people with it on both, you get 8-second reduced cooldown, and your Combat Trance is almost back up instantly. And when you're that tanky and you do that much damage during this ability, it is very good. And I think this card is a must-have at 5. And like I said, if you're going to do a one-of, there's a few others. Primal Haste or Imbued with Purpose would be the 2 I would use. Besides that, the rest of his cards, not very good in my opinion. Not much there. If you like Honed Senses, maybe you could put 1 or 2 points in it. But that's where my deck's standing for Tiberius. Now we're in the Drogo's decks. Drogo's has quite a few decks. You can play literally all 3 of his talents right now. They are all very good in my opinion. So let's just hop into a deck for each. For this deck, I'm running Combustible, and it's a pretty normal Combustible deck. Nothing really changed on Drogo's this patch, except for this card right here, Condescension. Condescension now reduces the cooldown of thrust by 1.2 seconds, and here's where it's interesting, for each enemy champion hit with Fire Spit. Last patch, it only did it once. If you hit 3 people, you would only get value out of this once. So now you get multiple hits. If you get multiple hits, you will get more cooldown reduction. So honestly, you could even put 2 points in this if you like it. I actually think it's really good. Very, very good one-of in my opinion. If you hit 2 or 3 people, you get 3 seconds off your thrust cooldown, which is kind of insane. That's quite a bit. So overall, if you did want to drop some HP or something and put it in Condescension, I would not feel bad about that. Definitely a good idea. I personally like this deck for an HP deck. My other Combustible deck has a little bit more HP. If you wanted to, you could, run with this deck a little bit. Run with this basic style with Propel 3, Survival 3. I think these are staples. You're going to want to run them. Masterful, I wouldn't go much lower than 3. I prefer it at 4, but to get points on other things, feel free to drop it if you'd like. It's not that big of a deal because it does have an internal cooldown. And that internal cooldown usually prohibits multiple Fire Spits. So actually at 3, you're getting about the same value as 4 or 5. 5 is just overkill in my opinion. I would never do that. So if I was going to make a deck for Combustible, it would be 2 or 3 in HP, 2 or 3 in Condescension. I'm going to go with 2. I think 2 is a good sweet spot. So I'd go this. This obviously isn't going to be enough to tank a General Assault. So if you do want to run a deck that can tank a General Assault, you're going to have to put 5 points in health. So what I mean by that is when you're ulting, a lot of the time Generals will try to snipe you. And if you have 4 points in Apex Predator, you will only have 2,400 health. Obviously, you could buy Blast Shields, but people really don't like buying Blast Shields on Drogos for obvious reasons. So, if you put 5 points in it, you will have 2,450 health, and you will be able to tank a General Assault and live. So that's why I do run this deck occasionally. I would probably keep it at a 5-point. For one-ofs, if you don't like Condescension, you can run Fuel Tank, maybe a Hot Swap. I'm not really a big fan of Hot Swap and Combustible, so I would probably run Fuel Tank as a one-of. I mean, Decimate, I want this card to be good. It's just not. I really don't like it. If you think you're going to salvo a lot with like a Fusillade build, you can maybe run it at 3 or 4 and get some value out of it. I just think salvo's garbage. I just don't run it. I just don't use it very much, you know? So for me, those are the one-ofs you can use, and that's my combustible deck. Let's hop into the rest. We've already talked about a decent amount of these cards, so we'll just talk about the different ones for my Fusillade deck. Survival, Propel 3, both staples, like I said. Health, pretty good. And the card that's different for Fusillade is Hot Swap, which is a very, very, very good card in Fusillade. It increases your reload speed by 40% for 3 seconds after hitting an enemy with your left click. Very, very good in Hot Swap. You can just dive in. You can get your reload very fast. 4 points, which this card is basically a substitute for Masterful in your combustible deck. I still like Condescension in Fusillade. Honestly, this card is just really, really good this patch. I honestly might, drop a point in health and go, 2 points into that. And I think that's where my deck's going to stay. For the one-ofs, I don't think you want to run any different one-ofs in Fusillade. I think this is the best deck you can possibly make in terms of the 5 cards. Just the points, you can move around these 3 as much as you'd like. I still think Survival 3, Propel 3 is what you want in those for almost every Drogo's deck. Except for Wormjets, even though I do have it in my Wormjets deck for one of them. But I did take it out in my Fly Forever deck. And the reason I did that is because Wormjets did just get nerfed, and you need a lot more cards than the flying cards, which is your Fuel Tank and your Rain of Fire. I put 5 points in Fuel Tank and 4 in Rain of Fire. Honestly, I might drop that in 3. I don't know if I like Rain of Fire that much, and this would allow me to get more points in health. So I can still fly quite a bit with this Wormjets deck, but honestly, Wormjets kind of seems like his worst talent. I would only run it if they have absolutely 0 hit scan. I think right now you're going to want to stay in the Fusillade combustible area. There's a lot of hit scan in the meta. There's a lot of really strong hit scan, and you kind of just get your wings clipped when you're playing Wormjets. So I think you're going to kind of need to match that with a little bit more damage with combustible or Fusillade. I run Hot Swap as a one-of. Honestly, you could change this to a bunch of different cards. Decimate, Condescension. That's about it, really. There's not much else for Wormjets, in my opinion. For me, I'm just going to run Condescension. I don't think Hot Swap is worth it with Wormjets. And that's my Drogo's decks. Moving on to Bomb King, there are a few decks I'm currently running. One is a Jolt 3 deck. You might ask me why Jolt 3 and why not more. Well, the reason I run Jolt 3 is because I can put more points in Backdraft. You just get your Poppy up so much more, and you already can knock people back super far with Jolt 3. Obviously, you can put more points if you don't care about health as much, maybe 4, drop health another point and go 5. And overall, it's pretty basic. Besides that, basically just a normal Jolt deck with Backdraft. And these 3 cards are just staple in Bomb King decks. There are no cards better in Bomb King. You want to run these 3 in every single deck you make. Every single one. For other one-ofs, really, there's just not much there. I think these are just the best 3. I do run Bomb Shelters sometimes in like Royal Subjects. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's something. Besides that, you can maybe run, Countdown 1. But for like one-ofs, Reinforced Casing, very, very strong. Royal Decree, very good as like a 2-pointer or a 3-pointer because this does stack. But overall, yeah, that's my Jolt deck. You can run this with any talent you like. I think Royal Subjects is what I usually would run with this. But I do think Chain Reaction could be played if you're really good at sticking people. And I honestly think Accelerate's not bad right now. With the Resilience nerfs, I've been running this deck with Accelerate, and I actually kind of like it. Basically, it's this new card right here, Fallout, and I run it at 5 points, and it increases Grumpy Bomb's stun duration by 0.5 seconds. I'm honestly not sure. This card might be glitched right now, but if it's not glitched and it works, it's insane. Like, your Grumpy Bomb goes from a 2-second to a 2.5-second stun, I believe. I don't actually know the exact number because Hi-Rez doesn't have it anywhere. I've tried to time it myself, and I couldn't time it correctly. It's just let's just imagine this card works just for the sake of ease. I think if this card does work, it's really good with an Accelerant deck. So I run Countdown 1, King's Court 4, Royal Decree, and King's New Cloak. This is why I use Countdown, because it's Accelerant and I'm trying to get more value out of Fallout, but you could reinforce Casing and it wouldn't be that big of a difference. I would be totally cool with this deck as well. But I'm going to keep it a countdown for me. That's just my personal preference. And I think everything else just fits together. I mean, like I said, these 3 cards, pretty good. I did not run King's Court in my Jolt deck. That's because we were running Backdraft. But King's Court is a very, very good card that I would run in pretty much every deck if I'm not running Jolt. Just quickly to show you like my standard deck. This is just my standard deck, just to show you guys what I mean with these staple cards. You know, King's Court is 5, really good, especially with cauterized nerfs. Reload speed, 15%. They can stack up to like 27, almost 30% with diminishing returns. You know, King's New Cloak, I pretty much always run as a 5 of. And just a 1 of a Reinforced Casing and 1 of a Jolt. That's just my standard deck. You could run this with pretty much any talent. I would probably run Royal Subjects if you were going to run this deck. But yeah, there's my BK decks. I don't really want to spend too much time on each deck because 1, a lot of this stuff's opinion, and 2, there's so many. Like this video's already gone 10 minutes and we only talked about 3 characters, so it's, you know, we're gonna try to go through this as fast as we can. So for Cassie, I personally prefer Impulse. I haven't really been running much big game. You can run big game if you want. I will show the deck after this, but this is my Impulse deck. Blast Shower 4. Drain Life 2, Megaton 3, really, really, really good card. Very annoying, especially with Resilience nerfs. You're going to be wanting to run this card. And honestly, in every Cassie deck, I think. It's just that good. Somersault 3, pretty staple. And just health as a filler. I really wouldn't change any card in this deck. But if you did want to change something, if you did want to take out Megaton, if you didn't care about the knockback, you know, you could run Quiver as a 1 of and change the points around. Besides that, none of the new cards, you know, for Cassie are very good. So it's really Megaton for me. And if you wanted some extra ammo, Quiver's not bad. So you're going to hop it in my big game deck real quick, because that's the only other viable talent. I do not think Exaction's viable. They did nerf it this patch, and it was already not very good. So Exaction just kind of dead to me. Big game, pretty standard deck. Drain Life, you could take this out and put Megaton. I prefer the little sustain. But now that the sustain did get nerfed, I'm actually going to probably throw Megaton in my deck. I think it's just a good card. It's just so good. And I think Quiver 1 fits really well with big game. You want to get that extra attack in while your big game's up. If you have to reload when you just like right clicked or something, you're going to be a little disappointed that you didn't put that ammo card in. I think it fits big game very well. And besides that, you know, just Somersault and health, just pretty standard. In terms of 1-ofs that you could put in, you could just put Drain Life in or Blast Shower. Both could work. I prefer the deck as it is, like this. Moving on to everyone's favorite pirate, Dredge. I have a few decks right now. Basically, for me, Hurl doesn't do enough. It doesn't cauterize. It doesn't apply wreckers. So I'm not a big fan of Hurl right now. I'm just going to show you my deck real quick just to, you know, show the people who do like playing Hurl. I'm not a big fan of it. Even though it's so tanky, like it's got all these heal cards, not enough DPS off Hurl. You're basically left clicking anyways. Why run Hurl? So for me, it's Scuttle, and it is Scuttle with this deck. So this is just my tank Scuttle deck. Hangman's Ire 4, Dreadnought 4 for some health. Sea Dog's just a 1-of, increased healing under 50%. Dark Bargain 5, very, very strong card. An Expansive Vault, just a 1-of. You could just, you know, throw a health 1-of in there. Oh, no, sorry, I already have health in this deck. You could throw, like, increased ammo as a 1-of. Maybe Crow's Nest as a 1-of. Possibly, he just doesn't have that many good 1-ofs, to be honest. So for me, that's why I just throw Sea Dogs in there. And this is just a very tanky Scuttle deck. It's really just all the best tank cards you have. Dark Bargain 5, 600 health shield after dropping below 50% health. That makes you extremely tanky. You basically have, like, what? Almost 3,000 health. Like, oh, man. And also, you're getting healed, and you have... Oh, wait. You also have 200 health there. So you have over 3,000 health. Or actually, exactly 3,000. So that's pretty good. If you do want to play my Flank Dredge playstyle, I've shown this off. I really like playing this deck. It's basically, you give up tankiness for... a knockback on your right click. I think it's really fun. For me though, like for a competitive mindset, I wouldn't run this deck. I think the overall just heavy, you know, heavy shield, increase your health by 200, and also putting the 1-of the Sea Dogs is a little better. But this deck is just fun. I just enjoy playing this. I just love flying around as Dredge. It's just interesting. It just, you know, I at the end of the day, we play this game for fun, right? And like, sometimes I like giving up competitiveness for fun. Obviously, Ideally, if a lot's on the line, I'm going to play, the best possible deck, which is that other deck. But in terms of fun and enjoyment, I really, really like this build. And I think you guys should try it out. Basically, it's the exact same thing, except instead of the one of Sea Dogs, you run Crow's Nest at 5, and you drop points and everything else. So try this deck out, guys. Literally, I call it Flying Dredge. Like it's just great. Just fly around, have a good time, and it's a good time. I love it. Moving on to Shaolin. Shaolin had tons of changes, just absolutely so many changes this patch. Basically, the main things are his crippling arrow now cripples people for 2 seconds. His withdraw got a long CD reduction, or a reduced CD, and he now has 2 new talents, Desert Silence and Sand Trap. For me, I think competitively, Recurve is probably the best, but I actually really enjoy Desert Silence for the 1.5 second silence. Bomb Kings cannot use their right click, which means they cannot blow up bombs. That's crazy. That's very, very good. A character just can't do damage to you for 1.5 seconds. I think Desert Silence to play, but Recurve is definitely very good still. Sand Trap, I honestly just think this talent's just bad. Not a big enough radius, just not good enough. I'd rather have the silence or just the increased damage output, like 25%. The buffed Recurve, very, 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 very good. So for now, I'm running Desert Silence, and I'm running it with this deck right here. So the only thing different about this deck that most people are running is that I run Bullseye, and I do not run Crippling Arrow CD. I run Windwall 4, and the reason I run this card is because it stacks. So every arrow in your new Rapid Shot ability, the new planted that lets you move around, now slows by 20% for 2 seconds. And if you hit it multiple arrows, it can stack up to 40, 60% to a point where, I mean, there's diminishing returns. I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head, but it's to a point where tanks literally aren't moving and you're just melting them, and it's almost impossible to miss because you just do so much damage with Rapid Shot as well. It fits really nicely in a Shaolin build, in my opinion. I'm running Poise 2. With Nimble 2, I think you get more value running Poise 2 than running, like, a couple points in his movement speed card. Honestly, it's personal preference. I think if you ran 4 points in this and dropped a point there and a point in health, or maybe just all points in health, I think I would be cool with this deck. But for me, I was just running, I don't know, Nimble 2 and running Poise 2. Honestly, maybe some Shaolin mains out there that know better than me can let me know if Poise is good or not. I see a lot of people running it, so I'm assuming it's good, but I'm not a Shaolin main, so I have no clue. But this is the deck I've been running, and it feels good. I think Shimmer 2 is pretty much a staple. You're always going to want to run that. You're always going to run some points in health. Shaolin doesn't have much health, so just getting a few extra points in there is nice. And I think Bullseye is a staple as well. From there, you can kind of play around with the cards with what you like. I think Windwall 4 is great. I'm keeping this in my deck. It's very good. If you don't think Poise is very good, Quicksand 2, I mean, reduce the cooldown of your silence. Who doesn't want that as a Shaolin? I don't know. I think everyone does. Also, you could just run Mirage as a one-of. Besides that, I really am not a big fan of his other cards. Run them down, not good enough. In my opinion, increasing the silence to 2 seconds could be cool, but too many points to put into that to really entertain that. So that's why I don't like that much. And that's my Shaolin deck. Moving on to Leon, she did get a new talent, or at least not a new talent, more like a buffed precision. No one was running this last patch. I haven't tried it yet, but I haven't really seen anyone running it as well, so I'm just assuming it's not very good. I don't know. Maybe it is. I have to try it out more. Like, I haven't had a chance to test everything on this new patch. I'm trying to give you guys like all my educated info, but there are things I don't know about. Like precision, I really don't know. I don't. On paper, getting a 28% damage buff for stacking 4 shots, that seems pretty good. That's a lot of damage. But does that increase your eminence? Or your presence? Does that increase your right click, your auto aim on your dash? I don't know. I have to test this out more. For me though, it's still eminence if you're gonna play Leon. And if it's still eminence, it's just a pretty basic Leon deck. This deck that didn't really change. Just not much different with it. If you don't like Manifest Destiny, you could, put in whatever. Shining Topaz, not bad. Swift Jade, not bad. I don't think the movement speed card is very good. I don't know. I just prefer Manifest Destiny. Just give me an extra 5 units. I don't even know what 5 units means, but give me it. I'll take it. Just the one-ups in her deck aren't very good. Besides that, just pretty standard cards for an Eminence build. Herald E5, Present Arms 4, and Inheritance 3. This deck did not really change from last patch, so not much to talk about there. So, yeah, that's just Leanne. Pretty basic. The only real changes that matter to her are her talent on precision, but like I said, haven't had a chance to test it. Moving on to Willow, Blast Flower and her left click got nerfed extremely hard. It's to a point where when I run Blast Flower, I feel like I'm doing no damage. So with this in mind, I actually think Scorn is her best legendary. A legendary no one's even looked at for a while, except for like some random Willow mains that you see in games. And I think Scorn's the play actually now. I've only played it once or twice, but it felt pretty solid. It felt better than Blast Flower. Blast Flower just felt terrible. I don't want to run it anymore. Willow with Blast Flower is dead to me. I mean, honestly, Nightshade, maybe you can get it to work. I think 500 damage is not enough, so I don't think it's worth it. So that's why I'm looking at Scorn. And Scorn actually increased the damage of your seeds by quite a bit. And here's my Scorn deck. Just pretty basic deck kind of right here in terms of Willow decks. Health and DR, you pretty much run that in every Willow deck. But from there, it's just seed cards. A 1 of is Germination and generate ammo after using Seedling. A 1 of a Photosynthesis. I don't think this card should ever be run at more points. Your seeds already move fast enough to a point where you don't really need increased speed. I think just keeping it as a 1 of is nice. It's just a nice little 1 of. It doesn't do too much to the seeds, but it's enough where it's noticeable that it's worth putting in your deck. And then Sprouts 5, which just reduces the cooldown of Seedlings by 2.5 seconds for each enemy hit by it. Just a very good card in Scorn. You can kind of chain seeds quite a bit if you can hit 1 or 2 people with this. And your seeds explode very fast with Scorn, so it actually is pretty consistent, surprisingly. It's hard for people to get out. At least they're going to get hit by 1 seed for the most part. If you did want to see my normal deck, this deck did not change from last patch. Basically the exact same thing. Just Believe did get nerfed, but I still think you're going to want to run it. Besides that, pretty basic with Flutter DR and Health. And Just Believe is basically the only other card that exists in this deck. The rest of them are just 1-ofs. For 1-ofs for Willow, you can run like Sparkle as a 1-of in your deck if you like it. Besides that, really nothing else is good for 1-ofs. Besides if you like Flutter ammo or Seedling ammo. Those are probably the only other good ones in the decks. And that's Willow. I think Willow's pretty bad right now. I'm not going to lie. I think Willow's almost dead. Which is cool with me because I'm not a big fan of Willow. I really don't like her. But, you know, like, you just don't want to pick this champion right now. She just doesn't do enough damage. That's just what it comes down to. And she's too squishy. So why pick a character that doesn't do enough damage and is that squishy? I don't know. Maybe if you enjoy her. Honestly, I've been having kind of fun with Scorn. I've been having a little bit of fun with it. So I don't know. Maybe try out Scorn. Maybe, you know, test it out for yourselves. See what you guys think about it. You Willow mains out there. I just think Willow's pretty bad right now. She's kind of weak. Moving on to Kinessa. I do not play much Kinessa, but basically for Kinessa, all that changed on her were a few cards. Restore got completely changed. It's basically just a 1-of card now. If you like running it, honestly, you could even just take this out of your deck. It doesn't really fit anymore. It's just 25% heal, and if you increase the points, it reduces the ICD. Definitely not very good. If you're gonna run it, it's gonna be a 1-of. You don't really care on the 30-second cooldown. It's probably gonna be back up. If it's not, it's only a 25% heal. It's not very much. I'm putting it as a 1-of in my steady aim deck. I'm not a Kinessa main, so I'm not like a huge, you know, savant on her Kinessa decks, but if I was gonna run a deck, this is what it would look like. Prodigy 3, Quickscope 3, I think both of them very, very good cards. True Grit, just an insane card in steady aim. Hitting an enemy with a fully charged shot heals you for 400. That's a lot of healing because you're constantly hitting them with fully charged shots with steady aim. And Beam Me Up, just a safe card. Helps you live when you're getting dove by a flank or something a lot. Pretty much run that in every Kinessa deck. Calibrate did get buffed if you do like running Reposition. So for this, I actually do run Restore in higher points just because getting that reduced cooldown is actually kind of nice. The problem is Reposition's just kind of bad. It's just kind of bad, but it's a little fun, you know. Sometimes you just play these things that are fun just cause. So if you wanted to run a reposition deck, here you go. It's basically just a normal deck with Calibrate 5 in it. And like I said, Calibrate 5, or Calibrate did get buffed, but it's such a slight buff. I don't think it really brings reposition to the meta. I think you're going to be running steady aim for the most part. Also, if you just want a headstrong build with health and 5, you could run something like this as well. In terms of one-ofs for Kinessa, not a big fan of most of them. Like I said, Restore 5, probably the best one of you can run. Or, sorry, Restore just in general, not Restore 5. And also, if you're running steady aim, you could run like an open season. I personally don't think it's that great. I mean, some people like it. I'm not a big fan, so I just run Restore. Moving on to Strix. Strix had a health nerf as well as a damage on his pistol nerf. They also did nerf unauthorized use. However, I still think unauthorized use is his best talent. They also added a new talent called Elemental Bullet. I don't think that card's really good. I think you're still going to run Nocturnal. You're still going to run Authorized Use. Probably Unauthorized Use. And when I'm playing Strix, I'm literally only running Unauthorized Use with this deck. This deck did not change at all. They didn't really nerf Strix hard enough, in my opinion. They did not nerf him hard enough. They need to throw some heavy nerfs on this character. He is still going to be permabanned. He's still very, very strong. So you Strix players out there, you dirty Strix players, I know you're out there. Yeah, you're gonna still be running this character, and he's still pretty good. In terms of unauthorized use, Tiberius 5, Tactical Treat, very, very good card at 3 points. Cooled Mag's just the best one of in the entire game. This card is absolutely insane. Absolutely bonkers. Nerf this card or just, I don't know. Why does it generate 2 ammo every 1.5 seconds? I'm not sure. It's just way too good. I don't understand why this card's a one of. Like, this card is amazing at a one of, and you would never run it at 5 points. So, like, it's got to get a nerf somewhere, right? Like, nerf it in some way, because you're never going to run it at more points, and it's just insane at one of. A health card, just... I mean, you're going to need a health card now that his health got nerfed. And if you use crystals, I like it at 2 of. You can run it at 1 of and maybe put another point in Tactical Treat. That'll work. In terms of 1 of, literally don't run any other 1 ofs. Run Cooled Mags. This card is just insane. Just please run that card. I do have a Nocturnal deck. It's literally the exact same. It's running Relentless with Nocturnal. I don't know. I honestly wouldn't run this deck, just to be honest. I think you're just gonna want to stick with this deck, and you'll be happy with it. I think Grizzled is very, very good. And overall, just solid Strix deck. Strix did not get nerfed enough. He's still very, 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 very strong. Probably the best damage in the game, in my opinion. So Victor, his decks really didn't change at all. The only thing that changed that's notable to bring up is Cardio Dig and nerfed, as well as the Scramble card. A lot of people were running Scramble in a normal deck like this with Burst Fire. However, now that it's nerfed, I don't know if you're going to want to run 12 points or 4 points for 12%. That doesn't seem very good. So I'm just going to go to my normal Burst Vic deck. I like running Compensator. If you don't think it's worth running, you can, run some nade ammo or something like that. But I think Compensator is worth it in a Burst Fire Vic deck. And besides that, like I said, the decks really didn't change that much for Victor. Predator 4 is still a very good card. Fire Stanks 4, very good card. Health is a one of. Grenadier you could probably drop. Like, you don't really need that many points in it in a Burst Fire deck. So I might even just put another point in Predator, or another point in Health. Like I said, Victor decks really didn't change that much. Not much there. Pretty standard deck. If you did want to run Shrapnel, you just run more points than the Grenadier cards. You still run the same basic cards. I probably wouldn't run Compensator and Shrapnel because I don't feel like you really need it unless you're running Burst Fire. So for me, I would run either Predator or potentially XL Mag. But I'm going to run Predator. I just think Predator is really good. And I'd probably drop health a little bit. Something like this for an ammo if you wanted to run Shrapnel. I think Shrapnel's pretty bad. You're going to probably just want to run Burst Fire Vic and run a deck like this. So Imani got quite a few changes in this patch. The main changes for me are these right here. Frostbolt and Fireball now have no midair and accuracy, which is really, really, really good. You can jump shoot on Imani now, which helps her Fireball so much, because Fireball used to have a glitch where when you jumped at all during your Fireball, even if you weren't jumping while shooting, you got in air and accuracy. So now that doesn't exist. Your Fireball goes exactly where you shoot. If you're in the air, if you're wherever, because a lot of the time you Frostfire Glide and do like an Inferno Cannon, and as you're dropping, you have a one-shot ability where you can just one click and do 1,000 damage, and now that is perfectly accurate. That is a big change to Imani, huge deal. Besides that, the other big change for me is Frostfire Glide increased movement speed by 10%, and they also increased the duration. So Frostfire Glide is just really good now. Very, very strong. Now, when you run Pyronic Momentum, you're getting even more value, and you're going to want to run this card at 5 points. Her dash is actually pretty solid. In terms of her deck, this is the deck I ran in my previous Fire Imani video. I think it's probably her best deck. With Mana Rift. You're basically going to run Ancient Duty as a health card, 4 points, 3 points, whatever. If you want more points in shield, sure. If you want more points in healing during Frostfire Glide, sure. But basically, my one of is Mystic Fire. I think Mystic Fire did get a slight buff. I just like it. Getting that little extra mana during Frostfire Glide is really nice. It can help you get your one click on your fire pretty effectively. I would not run this card if you're going to run like an Ice Imani build. It's strictly a fire build in my opinion. And even the card's called Mystic Fire. Like, it's telling you, do not use this in Frost. This is a fire only card. Seriously. And I just think Fire Imani's better. I don't know. I just think it's more fun as well. I'm not a huge fan of Ice Imani. It just, it doesn't feel very fun to me. I personally love just blowing people up with Fire Imani. That's like by far my favorite thing about her. You know, flying in the air and using Inferno Cannon, I love that as well. So for me, it's really just this deck. They did change a lot of her shift cards, and I tried to deck with it, but I'm not gonna lie to you, I can't figure it out. I don't think it's very good. I think you're just gonna want to run Fire Imani. I don't think shifting back and forth is ever worth it. I think I actually deleted the deck. I don't even have it anymore. I didn't like it at all. Oh no, I tried it on PTS. I didn't even try it on this, but I didn't like it. If you were going to run a Frost deck, you're pretty much just going to want to run Permafrost. Besides that, the deck is basically the same thing. You know, Shield, Health, Frostfire Glide, and Frostfire Glide Heal. Overall, Imani feels really good this patch. I have a lot of fun on her. Go try her out. Go try this deck out. See what you can do. Fly in the air, Inferno Cannon some people, melt them. Have some fun, you know? So that's it for Imani. Tyra got a few changes in this patch. The main changes were a change in her auto rifle. Honestly, I don't feel them with playing Tyra. It feels almost exactly the same. I'm not gonna lie. It does feel a little better, a tad bit better, but not much. I like the increased ammo. You have 35 ammo in your clip now, which is a lot of ammo. You pretty much have to reload a lot less, almost like a third of the time less now. And for me, Tyra in this patch is strictly a burn monster character. I am running burn monster whenever I pick Tyra, and here's the deck I'm running. Volatile 5, they did nerf this card along with reducing the cooldown of Firebomb. I still think it's worth it as a 5 of in burn monster. Besides that, pretty standard filler cards. I'm running Primal Might to reduce the cooldown on my Firebomb if I do get kills. Tracker 4, I really like this card even in a burn monster deck. 20% increased movement speed, which is pretty much always up, unless, you know, they can like cleanse your mark, but not many characters can do that. So with that in mind, I think Tracker 2 is very, very good. 20% movement speed helps you at living a lot on Tyra because you don't have any mobility. You have no mobility. Besides that, you could run something like you know, Favored Quarry, Ranger. I think Tracker is just the best in terms of something like that. Or movement speed, maybe, if you like that. I don't know. I just think Tracker is better because it's usually up more. Like, this is 4 seconds, where your mark lasts a lot longer. Your mark lasts, it doesn't even say here. I'm pretty sure it's like 6 seconds or 8 seconds. So it does last longer, I believe. That's why I like Tracker. Also, with Primal Might, you can have your Tracker up even more than your Firebomb CD. The Firebomb CD is up it's about a 12-second cooldown with the Volatile with no Chronos. So just doing the math in my head, it seemed like Tracker was more value. I don't know. Maybe Tyra Man's out there and Sense might be more. I don't know. I like Tracker. I think it's better. Besides that, that's Tyra. That's pretty much it for Tyra. You could run like a Nade Tyra deck, which some people are running. It's not bad. I tried it once. It's not bad. If I was going to run it, it would be this: In the Fray 5, Turn the Table 4, Survivalist 1, Bandolier 4, and Quick Release 1. Not bad. Definitely kind of fun. Definitely interesting. But I do think Burn Monster Tyra is the play right now. I I would run Nade Tyra over it. I actually think Bird Monster is not bad. It does have a 60% caught in deck, which is the only in deck caught besides Willow, I believe. And this one does a lot more damage than Dead Zone does. So I don't know. I like it. It's fun too. I like throwing fire on tanks and just letting them burn, you know? And last but not least, for the damage category, we have Vivian. So for Vivian, for me, she is Opportunity and Chaos, and that's it. They did change her new talent to give her this health shield CD type thingy, and I tried it one game. I didn't know what it did, to be honest with you. I thought it was still the drone card, but it didn't really feel that great. Increased health of deflector shield by 350 and cooldown reduced by half if destroyed by an enemy. I couldn't get the cooldown back up. I would die. I would die if my shield got killed. I would die anyways. So I'm not a big fan of it. Booby trap you could still run, but for me, I just think Opportunity and Chaos is the best you can go with. So for me, I did kind of like this mixed reveal Opportunity and Chaos style deck. This is the more reveal centered one. If you're running into like a Sky or a Strix or a Shaolin, which are all three of those characters are pretty prevalent in the meta right now, running these reveal cards just completely hard counters them, and you don't need to buy Illuminate. So basically, this is a reveal centric deck. One step ahead in Runic Ammunition, you're going to see in all of my decks. They're very just standard cards, very good cards. You're going to want to run them. And these are the three reveal cards. Joyless Eyes increases the reveal range of your drone. Sensor drone reveals after people run out of it, so that's just really annoying. I'm not gonna lie. Getting this card on you from a Vivian just extremely annoying. I cannot get over how annoying it is to getting revealed. You kill the drone and you're still revealed for 2 or 3 or 4 seconds after. And Controlling Nature, a card that got buffed. Basically, every time you hit an enemy with 1 bullet, you reduce the cooldown on your sensor drone while you're looking down precision sights. 1 bullet does 0.1 second reduce cooldown, and you're hitting many bullets in a second most of the time. Tons of bullets. So your sensor drone is pretty much always off cooldown. You just constantly have one up. And if you're playing a stealth character, that's extremely annoying. But if there are no stealth characters on the other team, I'm going to run a pretty basic deck for Opportunity and Chaos. It's going to be one step ahead as a 5 of Runic Ammunition, like I said, the 2 staples. Besides that, it's a health card and Unchecked Ambition, which is a very, very good card. Hitting an enemy with a weapon shot has a 20% chance to not consume ammo. You basically have a 25% larger clip with this card if you hit your shots. So hit your shots, kid. You know what I'm saying? Just hit them. And besides that, Scapegoat, just a solid card. If you did want to run more one-ofs, I think increasing Deflector Shield by, it's not a bad card. 300 extra health, not bad. I do like some of these reveal cards. I would probably run like Joyless Eyes over any of the other ones, but Nowhere to Hide and Controlling Nature are very good as well if you wanted to run those one of in your Vivian deck. So yeah, that's Vivian. Not much there. Pretty normal standard decks. Not much change from Latch Patch as well. And that's it for my Season 3 decks for damages. Thank you so much for watching. These were all my opinions. Feel free to change around your decks as you see. I tried to give you guys like ideas of things you could do, ideas of things that you could change in your own decks to make them, your own. But that's my damage category, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. The next video will be the flank one, so make sure you guys check that out if you're interested in the flanks. And thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell, and I will see you in the next vid. Peace!